All right, y'all. Welcome back. Welcome back to the stream. Thank y'all so much for joining us today. Um, can we just double check that we're all good? We good? Alrighty. Okay. So, um, welcome back everybody to our SAT prep series. My name is Darren, and I will be one of your tutors for today. We also have our assistant tutor, Dylan, who's also in the call. He will be walking you through some of these examples. If y'all have any questions, feel free to let us know. We love to answer your questions. It helps us and it also helps you. So please ask any questions that y'all have in the chat. Um, we appreciate any donations. Obviously, this is something that we do that's not monetized, so any donations are appreciated.
Well, you can't even donate, bro.
Yeah, so we'll get that function up soon, but I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all for sure, man. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna put my little face cam down here. Okay, so here we go. What's up, everybody? Let's get straight into it. So let's look at the first I guess question we could look at. So it just says if x comma y satisfies the system of equations above, what is the value of y? So this question can be solved in two different ways. We can solve this obviously manually, or we could do this through Desmos. So I'm gonna show you through this way through the manual method, and then we'll go through the Desmos. So here we go. I see negative x and I see x. Boom. I see a plus sign potential for this. So let's see if this will update. Hopefully it does. Okay. So if we add that, we get 4y is equal to 6. Y is equal to 6 over 4. Or 3 over 2. Okay, so hopefully it does update. But we could also do this through Desmos. So let me show y'all this through Desmos. Something that I like to say when I'm doing the SAT is whenever I see a system of equations, I definitely want to go towards this. Um, Desmos. So you can see that's 1.5, and if my screen here does update, hopefully it does soon. Here we go. Let me reload it. Yeah, so here we go. Solving this manually, we get 1.5. So the value for y would just be 1.5. Pretty self-explanatory problem. All right, Dylan, do you want to give us an insight on number 2? Dylan, so what's it looking like for number 2?
Um, it's looking like a MX plus B question.
Right?
No, you're gonna first start off with uh
Again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to let us know. Dylan, do you have an idea of how we're going to solve this?
hmm. Well, you're obviously gonna you're gonna substitute in one of these points. So let's substitute in -2 and -6. All right, Darren, can you write it down? Darren, just substitute in -2 and -6. So you should get a, and then substituting in the x, let's say -2, and then plus k, and then substitute in the y, so -3 equals 6. Once you do that, you'll get a times 0 cancels out, so you're left with -3k equals 6, and you divide both sides by -3, k equals -2.
Yeah. So here we go. The answer should be -2. D- are we good here? Anyone have any questions on this? Dylan, can you just help us double check if this is the right answer?
The
You guys are
correct answer
new.
is -2.
Okay. Perfect. I like where this is going. Um, if you guys are new to the stream, welcome. Today we'll be doing some SAT prep. My name is Darren, and I will be one of your tutors for this session. My other peer tutor is Dylan. He is a very accomplished student. Uh, he currently serves as a valedictorian at one of our Southern California schools, and myself, I serve as a top 10 student at my Southern California school. So I appreciate y'all for tuning in. We're here to help you engage in this really meaningful content for the digital SAT and hopefully get you into your dream school. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Chat, if you guys have any questions, feel free to jump in at any time. We're free to answer any questions that y'all may have for sure. Okay, so looking at this question here, in the given system of equations, p is a constant, and if the solution has no solution, what is the value of p? Okay, so the first thing I notice here is the word no solution. Whenever you see that word no solution, you have to think of two equations with the same slope, right? So what no solutions means is if there was two lines, the lines would be parallel and they would not intersect, right? If there's a solution, the lines would intersect at some point, and we would call that a solution. But if there's no solution, we would call that two parallel lines. So, looking at the question here, we see a bunch of equations. Wow. If this is correct, no. Okay, sorry. Um, this should be separated right here. So, there's two different equations here. Um, I want to first get that into y equals mx plus b form. You can do slope intercept form if that is more familiar to you, but to me, I like my uh, um, y equals mx plus b. So here we go. 3 halves plus 3 halves is just 3. So we could just do 3y minus a quarter x is equal to 2/3. So we'll leave that for no. Actually, we'll simplify it just so it's simpler for everyone, right? So here we go. We get 2/3 plus 1/4 x, 3y. And if we divide by 3 on both sides, we get y is equal to here we go. That is 1/12. Okay, I'm not sure if it's updating for y'all, but I do have y is equal to 2/9 plus 1/12 x. So that's what we want to achieve on the opposite side, right? So if we look at the equation here, now we have p. So I want to write this equation out just so it's easier for all of us to look at. So here we go. We want p to have okay. Let me explain this another way just so it's easier for all of us to understand here. Let's first subtract out the 3 halves just so we could get that out. So that's 3, right? Right, so it's py plus 3 is equal to 1/2 x. Perfect. So what do we want to do next? Well, we want to achieve that 1/12 x as our slope. So we have 1/2 x minus 3 is equal to py. And if we divide a number p that we don't know, but we want to achieve that 12, we can just do this. So 1/2 times 1 over p is equal to 1/12. And what's p? P is equal to 6. So the answer here, I would say, is 6. Dylan, can you help us check our answer here? Let me zoom in for y'all just so you can see.
The
For those
answer
at
to
home,
that question is 6.
is the answer 6?
Yep.
Perfect. That's great. So for those of you who are at home, I encourage you to do these problems before looking at my solution. So I will give you guys some time. That is my apologies for not doing that initially. But let's move on to the next problem because we do have a lot of problems to get through. Hector used a tool called an auger to remove corn from a straw storage bin at a constant rate. The bin contained 24,000 bushels of corn. When Hector began to use the auger, after 5 hours of using the auger, 19,350 bushels of corn remained in the bin. If the auger continues to remove corn at this rate, what is the total number of hours that Hector will have been using the auger when 12,840 bushels of corn remain in the bin? So that's a lot, right? But we want to break this problem down into small pieces for us to digest. Okay, so looking at this, I note that there's 24,000 bushels of corn initially. Right, so I think here we can assume that we have a linear decreasing function. So in my head, this is what I'm visualizing. I'm visualizing like a line on a graph that's decreasing, right? So I want to see if I can draw this here so y'all can see. So if this is a graph, we have a decreasing slope, so you have a negative slope. So what we want to do here now is we want to draw a little XY table. So 0 and 24,000. And then 5, we have 19,350. See if I could reload this. Perfect. So from this, we can figure out the slope, right? So what's 19,350? So 24,000. We have 4,650 over 5. We know that equals 930. So that's our slope, right? Now, we can then make this equation. So y is equal to 930x plus 24,000. Right? So, sorry, this is actually supposed to be a negative slope. I want to make sure that y'all don't confuse this. This is a negative slope because if y'all need to see this, it would be 24,000. Sorry. Let me see if I can write this a little bit clearer for y'all. So, on the big screen here, how did I derive 4,650? Well, it's y2 minus y1, right? Over x2 minus x1. And we get 4,650, so 24,000 minus 19,350 over 0 minus 5. So we get this equation right here. Okay, so here we go. We know that we want 12,840 bushels remaining, so it would just be this plus 24,000. And we can subtract that. Okay. And we get x is equal to 12, so D is our answer here. All right, Dylan, if you want to contribute to our next question. Again, for those of you guys who just joined, we are back doing our SAT prep for today. If y'all have any questions, please leave it in the comment section of this stream so that we can address it and help you guys achieve your dream score. I appreciate y'all. Again, leave any questions. I have the chat pulled up, so if y'all have any questions, feel free to ask. Okay, Dylan, do you want to do the next question for us?
Yeah. All right, let me come over.
All right, let's move over. First, you need to get into y equals mx plus b format. So y equals mx plus b.
Dylan, can you scroll down for us? Can you scroll down, please? Like, scroll down on the mouse.
All right. So we know the slope because we can use y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So you get 130, or let's do it like this. 160 minus 130. And then 23 minus 18. That equals 35. The slope is 6. So now we have y equals 6x plus b. Okay. Now let's so the x-intercept is when y equals 0, but let's first figure out what b is. So let's plug it in. Let's plug in x and y. $130 equals 618 plus b. Equals 108 plus b. 22 equals b. So we have y equals 6x plus 22. Alright. So the x-intercept is x when y is 0. So we can substitute in 0 equals 6x plus 22. Now we just subtract 6x from both sides. Negative 6x equals 22. X equals negative 22 over 6. Let's simplify that down to negative 11 over 3. Alright. So we don't want to forget that we need to move it down 5 units. That's an important thing you need to note. Alright. So we have negative 11 over 3 minus, because we're moving it down, this is the result of transition.
Dylan, you can use Desmos if needed. Thank you.
Translating it down 5 units. Alright, so let's plug this into Desmos.
Desmos is on the big screen.
So our equation, y equals 6x plus 22. This is moved down 5 units. So if we go to 5, if we move this down 5 units, it will be 17. And here we can see the y-intercept, the x-intercept is negative 2.833. So we can look at our options here. We can rule out A. We can rule out B. C is the correct answer, and we know D is it. So the answer is C.
Good job, Dylan. Great job.
And the thing is, you didn't really need to consider the moving down of 5 units because you're looking at the x-intercept here. So as we can see, it's negative 11 over thirds here. Alright, Darren's going to take over. Are there any questions? Here's this. Are there any questions before we move on?
All right. I'll be doing it digitally from the other screen, so y'all can still hear me. Dylan, can you still hear me in the chat? Are we good?
I think we can still hear you.
Perfect. Okay. So let's look at the next question. And then after this, we'll take a quick 5-minute break and then we'll get right back into it. I appreciate y'all again for tuning in to the stream. Dylan, if you could scroll down for me, please. Phenomenal. And we'll be doing a lot more of that geometry. Oftentimes, students do struggle with geometry because it's not really emphasized that much in school. If y'all are taking calculus next year or have already taken calculus, you know that geometry is a basis of math. And at lower levels of our learning, we aren't really emphasizing geometry. So I want to make sure that we focus on geometry here because that is a section that most students do struggle with. And yeah. Okay, so if we look at the question, an economist modeled the demand Q for a certain product as a linear function of the selling price P. Demand was 20,000 units when the selling price was 40 per unit, and the demand was 15,000 units when the selling price was 60. Based on model, was the demand when the selling price is $55 per unit? Okay, so I see another table opportunity that we can do here. So I want to draw a quick little table for y'all. We see 40, we see 60, we see 20,000, we see 15,000, right? So what does this mean, right? I'm actually going to reverse this. So this is a little bit unconventional, but we will use Y here and we will use X. Okay, so here we go. 60 minus 40 is 20, right? And 15 minus 20,000 is negative. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Just kidding. I will retain that XY. So this will be 5,000. And this will be negative 20, right? So what's negative 5,000 divided by 20? That is 250. So if it's 250, we can then write this as our slope here. And we know that if it's y equals negative 250x, we need a b value. So how do we get that? We plug in that 40 again. So negative 250 times 40 is negative 10,000. Is equal to that 20,000. You get 30,000, right? Is equal to our b value. Okay. What do we do with this b value? So we have our new equation here, y is equal to negative 250x plus 30,000. We can then plug in our 55 to the x value, and that's our answer. I apologize. I think I said 50,000. It's 55. So our answer here is a 16,250. Do you guys have any questions right now on what I just did? Again, these concepts are all very related. They just ask it in different ways, but we're essentially doing the exact same thing. Concepts are all very, they just ask it in different. All right. Are we good then for all right, let's take a quick little break. Dylan, if you could switch to the break screen. All right. You good? Oh, sorry. Go back. Natalie has a question. How did you get the negative 10,000? So, um, let's see if it updated. Okay, so we're basically just putting in that 40. If you see that 40 value, we want to find that B value. And in order to find that B value, we need to put in an existing pair of coordinates that we already know. And because we know that 40 is the input 40 will give us the output 20,000, we will just essentially just plug it back into the original equation and we could solve for that b variable. So b again is that y-intercept. If that makes sense, Natalia.
If it makes more sense, you can think of it as negative 250 times 40. You're plugging in that x value.
Yeah, so it would be negative 250 times 40. So that's what we were applying to the other problems. And you need, so if you want to follow, yeah, so if you want to follow that y equals mx plus b formula, you need that um obviously that b value, and that b value is the y-intercept. So that's the main concept I want you to take away here. All right, we will be taking a 5-minute break, and we'll see you guys back in 5. Thank you.
Welcome back, y'all. Welcome back. Okay. So, if y'all can hear me, we will begin once again. Welcome back, y'all. Welcome back. Okay. Let's take a look at the next problem set. I want to skip to some geometries just so we can also look at that. Okay, let's take a look at this problem. Surface area of a cube is 6 times a over 4 squared, where a is a positive constant. Which of the following gives the perimeter of one face of the cube? Give me 1 second to navigate back. Okay, here we go. So how do we find the surface area of a cube? The surface area of a cube is basically found by adding up all the areas of each side of a square. So if you can envision a little cube, I'm going to draw it on here just so y'all can see. If this is a cube, right? And what we want to do essentially is take the area of this side. So add this area to this area of the square to this area, right? So a shorter way to do that would just be to multiply one side of the cube by 6. And that's what we are getting here. What's up, Cole Doggy? Welcome to the chat. Welcome. We are doing some SAT prep today. So we have our cube here, and the reason why there's a 6 in front is because we're multiplying each side of the cube by 6, and there's 6 sides of the cube. So we know then that a over 4 squared represents one side of the cube. And in order to find the perimeter of one of these cubes, right? It would be here, a over 4 plus a over 4 plus a over 4 plus a over 4. The reason why we have that a over 4 squared is because we know that length times width is the area of one side of a square. And if we want to find the perimeter, it would just be adding up one side of the square plus another side of the square plus another side of the square plus another side of the square to essentially achieve that 4a over 4. And that leaves us with option B, which is A. Are we good? We good on this question, y'all? All right, let's move on. Ooh, I like these questions right here. I'll just go a little bit up, maybe zoom in a little bit for y'all. Okay, let's do this one. Dylan, do you want to take this question? Dylan, I think you're muted. Okay, so I will do this question as well. Parallel lines Q and T are intersected by lines R and S. If angle A is equal to 43 degrees, and B is 122, What is the value of W? Okay, so for this question here, you really want to focus on your theorems on lines. So these are some things that you need to know. If one line intersects another, what are the angles surrounding the figure? So from the looks of this, first of all, I want to say that I'm sorry. Let me look at this. So let's see. If this is parallel to this, we can then make the inference. So this is 2W. So we could call this 2W. So if we can, we could do this. So if this is 122, this is also 122. Sorry, it's a little bit messed up on my screen here. But this is also 122, y'all. And if this is also 122, we could just subtract 180 minus 122. We get 58. So this is 58. We know that this is 58. So that would be our answer for W. W would just be 58 degrees. Dylan, can you help us check this question, please? Pretty sure I'm right here, but I just want to make sure we have the correct answer.
The question for this, the answer for this question is either 50.5 or 101 divided by 2.
Are you sure? Okay, that's a little bit odd. Maybe we should use that additional angle up top. Let's see. Dylan, do you see anything wrong here? I think my reasoning makes a lot of sense. Oh, maybe it doesn't state that this is parallel to this. Because if it was, we can automatically assume that that angle is the same as the other angle. This is really weird, y'all. This is really, really weird. Apologize for this. Dylan, can you break us down on where we're wrong here?
The 58 part is correct. So we should have 79 degrees for the third interior angle of the triangle.
Okay, so we're looking at 180 plus 43, 137.
And then with 79 degrees, we should be able to,
So we know that these two are the same, so this
we
would be
should be able to add, we should be able to add those two angles and add that to 79 degrees. And we can see that would form, that would yield 101 divided by 2.
So we see that's 79. We can navigate here and call this 79 as well. Okay, so they got 50.5 this way. But I wonder why. I'm assuming because these two, you can't make this assumption right here. So that's why, guys, you have to read the question carefully, because I assume that this was equal to this, but they're not parallel, so we can't make that automatic assumption that this is 58 degrees and this is also 58 degrees. Okay, are we still good? Chat, are we good? Yep. Okay. Let's continue to the next question. The dimensions of a right rectangular prism are 4 inches by 5 inches by 6 inches. What is the surface area? Okay, so here we go. Look at here, we could call this 5. And what we can do here is basically, let's add up everything. So we know that this is gonna be 20, this side, and this is gonna be 30, so it's gonna be 30 plus 30 plus 20 plus 20 plus 24 plus 24. So this should yield us the answer. So I would say the answer is D for this question. It's really just drawing it out and understanding the concept of your surface area, and yeah, you can definitely get the answer to this question. Let's move on to the next question. Here. Okay, this one's a triangle question. ABC is similar to DEF. AC C, D. Okay, so for this question, we're looking at SOHCAHTOA. We know that if two triangles are similar, you have the same angles but different side lanes. If tangent A, so opposite over adjacent, 50 over 7 is tangent A, then we know that if we do DEF, we will get something with the same what's it called, a similar ratio, right? We're gonna end up with that 50 over 7. So the answer here is just 7 over 50 because it's opposite, so opposite is 7 over adjacent is 50. So the answer is 7 over 50 as the answer. Let me just check this for y'all. Yeah. So the answer here is just 7 over 50. Ooh, my favorite type of question here. In the figure above, BD is parallel to AE. What is the length of CE? Okay, so if this ratio here is 6 to 18, I want to quickly make that jump here. That this length is 3 times that original other length. So we would call this 3. This would be 16. Right. Now, how does this help us solve CE? Well, we know that we can apply this formula called a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. We know that if we have two sides, if we have 18 squared plus 24 squared, we could get that c squared as our final number. So we could get 18 squared plus 24 squared is equal to 900 is equal to c squared, and we know that c is equal to 30 in that fashion. So hopefully if I reload this, we can get the answer. Yeah, and 30 is the answer for this question. Let me know if y'all have any other questions. Today we are a live SAT tutoring, so obviously this is something that that's there to help y'all. If y'all have any questions, feel free to ask at any time. Alright, let's see if we have the next question up. Yeah, so let's see. For this question, I like to use a Desmos graphing calculator. Save us some time. Oops. Again, if I'm moving too fast, please let me know, and we can definitely slow down for y'all's understandings. Okay, so I mean, this one's pretty simple, right? We're literally just like plotting the points. So I like to use this feature here, this table feature, and we could literally just like plop these in, just see if it lies in the interior of the circle. So we see that 0, 0 clearly is. So answer here would probably be 3, 2. Yeah, so the answer is D. Simply just by graphing. Okay, let's continue. We have Lynn in the chat. Welcome to the chat, y'all. Welcome. Let's continue on with our next problem here. So in the figure above, BD is equal to 6 and AD is equal to 8. What is the length of DC? Okay. The first thing that I see, that I notice in this problem is 8 and 6. So I'm thinking 8 squared plus 6 squared is equal to C squared. Right. 8 squared is 64 plus 36. Hold up, guys. 80. Just kidding, that's 100. My gosh. Sorry, y'all, that is not a good representation of my intelligence. I apologize for that, but we do have 100 plus, or is equal to C squared. You know that C is equal to 10, right? So here we can have 10. The next part would obviously be to add up this, find this second angle AC to find, or actually, let me think about this a little bit. Okay, so let's take a look here. DC is going to be 8 plus X is equal to C squared, but that doesn't tell us anything, or does it? So I'm thinking this of as three different triangles here, right? We have, this is 8, this is 6, this is 10, we know that this is 6. This is what we're trying to find. This is 10, this is 8 plus X. This is unknown. So we need to find that length BC. How do we do that? I'm thinking we could do something like X squared plus 6 squared is equal to C squared plus 36. C squared minus 36, square root that. C minus 6. Right, is equal to X. Gosh, how do you do this? That's a good question. Does it say that it's similar? Because I'm getting screws. This is my work up here. Let's see. Yeah, I think the only way you could solve this is through proportions. So if we do have this line, we have this. That 6 over 8 is equal to x over 6. 8, 4 and 1/2. So this would be my answer, 4 and 1/2. So this will update. So we're thinking ratios here for this question. Feel free to let me know if you guys have any questions currently. Do get notifications here. So yeah. Okay. So we will be taking another break. We have been streaming for over an hour now, so hopefully this is actually helpful for y'all. If it is, feel free to subscribe, hit that like button so we know and appreciate your support. You know, for future sessions, we will be having a schedule out soon, so you guys will be able to know like when exactly we're gonna stream, so you guys can hop on accordingly. We'll continue that in around 15 minutes. So I'll see you all in 15. And yeah. Thank you guys. I'll see y'all in 15.